Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to My Fit Radio. This is our new season, Season 2, and we're here to talk about how to synchronize your mind and body for complete fitness. We're here every Sunday from 9:30 to 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you would like to call in, the number is 909-265-9250. Now, if you guys didn't check in last season, I just want to introduce who we are. Okay, so we're the MindFit team. I'm Miss Masta Foxx, and then we have Miss Whizdom. Hey, say hi to everybody. Hey.
Hello,
How's
everyone.
everything going?
It's going good. Glad to be back for our new season.
Yeah, me too, man. We've been doing a lot of research. You know, we have a lot of new stuff coming for you guys this season and a lot of good topics. You know, that's what we're all about, getting that mind stimulated. So tonight we're going to be talking about what are the differences between the left and right brain, or the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So first of all, Miss Whizdom, did you do any research about this? What is your definition of, or what it is this left and right brain hemispheres?
Well, we basically have a cerebral hemisphere. It has two sides. We call it the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. And it's either of the symmetrical halves of the cerebrum, is divided by a longitudinal cerebral fissure. Put simply, we have a left and right brain, but we call them the cerebral hemispheres. And the cerebrum is a large, rounded structure of the brain, and it occupies most of the cranial cavity, and it's also divided into two cerebral hemispheres. It's joined at the bottom by the corpus callosum, and that's a thick band of fibers, an extensive bundle of nerve fibers that connects the right and left hemispheres. And what that does, it allows the brain to process information on both sides.
Oh, okay. So why is this important? If we didn't have a left or right side of our brain, could we still think about stuff and function?
Well, we could. It just probably wouldn't be as in sync as it would having both a left and right brain, because each of them, they function together, but they have separate functions at the same time. The left brain, it organizes, receives information, it likes to follow instructions, very attention to detail, verbal communication, intellect, it's analytical. Whereas the right brain, it deals more with expression, emotional signals, spatial awareness. It sees more of the big picture. It's dealing more with intuition versus intellect, creative thinking.
Right. Oh, cool.
That's why sometimes you hear, people saying if someone's more left or right brain. We actually use both sides, but they're really speaking of how you process it, how you're processing the information.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I think I also found out some cool information is the reason why we have a left and a right side is because your brain wants to specialize. It wants to have, each side to be specialized in a specific, area. And this increases the processing capacity so that your brain is more powerful. So that's a reason why, it separates all of its duties,
That makes
basically.
sense.
Right.
Right.
And then
And they actually
also,
process separately.
yeah, exactly. So your left and right brain are doing stuff at separate times, but in sync and communicating
Right.
also. And also, when your left side of your brain is really controlling the muscles on your right side of your body, and your right side of your brain controls the muscles on your left side of your body. So,
Right.
like, say
That's an
you wink
interesting fact.
yeah, isn't that crazy? If you like winked your right eye, that means the left brain thought of that.
That's
It
pretty
moved
crazy.
that right eye. Yeah. So sometimes, because of this crisscross, I tell people, it's very good to be balanced, your energy to be balanced because, our energy is always crisscrossing. So we have to get a balance between the two so that one doesn't try to take over and become more dominant,
Correct.
Also,
And that's part of the job of the corpus callosum, to balance the two hemispheres. But there are occasions where people, they got it severed or they were born without it, the corpus callosum. They can still function, it's just a little different. They seem normal on the outside until you ask them to do specific tasks, basically.
Wow, that's crazy. So we should all be happy that our left and right brains are working in sync,
right?
Because like
the brain really is the ultimate computer.
Yeah, when it's disconnected, these like 2 million fibers that we have that connect the two hemispheres.
200 billion fibers. That's insane.
That's crazy. But if any of these are disconnected, we'll be totally out of sync. I mean, it would seem like you're talking to a normal person, but say, for instance, they're looking at an object with their right side of their eye, because that's where we get all our visual awareness from. That is processing on that side. The person wouldn't be able to really describe the object to you because the information would not be, because it's cut in the middle, so it would not be able to be sent to the left side where our language is dominant. So that it's like little things like that will make a big problem. If these two aren't connected.
It's like depending on which side you're asking them to process from, they might draw a picture for you or see a word.
Right, exactly. So if you guys want to, hop in on this hot conversation, and it's very interesting, you can call in at 909-265-9250. So we're here talking about the left and right brain, if you guys just tuned in. And we're going to get a little more deep into each side. So, Ms. Whizdom, let's talk about just the left side of the brain. So, because, it's a lot of information. So let's see, what is the left side? What is it more dominant? What does it control?
The left side of the brain, it's more analytical, it's more logical, repetitive, organized. It pays, like attention to detail, more literal.
Right.
It's better with science, math, and like I was saying earlier, the intellect part versus intuition of the right brain.
It also gives you the ability to actually speak. Yeah. So when somebody has damage in this area, it will be hard for them to speak. Also, your mathematical problems,
math
all
and
that
science
type of
processing.
logic. Following instructions. It also receives all the information. Like everything that we look at,
organized,
details.
it's very precise. They refer to it sometimes as the masculine side of the brain because of the intellect part of it, because it's processing with more logical reasoning part of the data versus the right brain. They call that more of a feminine side because it uses more intuition, creativity. It's holistic thought, compassion. It sees like the whole picture versus the attention to detail.
Well, since you're describing the right brain, let's get more in depth into the right brain. Yeah, like she said, it's also for creative thinking. Where your imagination roams, where when you're just daydreaming, all of those thoughts, everything is in your right side of your brain. It's
right,
also
it's imaginative.
And it picks up on like body language,
Right, nonverbal communication.
Right, your spatial awareness, like being able to walk without tipping over and things like that.
Right, emotional signals, like I was saying before, people with disorders, with the corpus callosum, sometimes they can't interpret emotional signals, like exactly is the person happy, sad. It's kind of similar to some people with autism.
Right.
And both, in both disorders, the brain is affected. So.
Exactly. So that, and so it's very important for you to, like if you have a brain injury or something like that, to take care of it right away, because your brain is very fragile, and if one of these sides...
The brain does everything for it.
Yeah. And if one of these sides are damaged, it will really make a big effect in your life.
It's the reason we know anything about the world in the first place, is the brain.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Without
because
the brain, there is no you.
Right, that's true. If it doesn't function correctly, or it's not functioning at all, that person is not the same person they used to be.
Right. And sometimes people will get brain injuries and they will actually become like either, like say they got affected on their left side and the right brain is more enhanced, they'll become more creative and savant. They call them savants, where they'll be able to like draw a picture in 2 minutes and very detailed, or they'll be able to just do things that are not normal, type of like a
I saw a guy like that. I saw a documentary about a guy like that. He was trying to, I think they called him accidental savant. But they're not actually born with the brain disorder. Something happens to them. He had a stroke, and then all of a sudden he just kept painting. He became more artistic. So something happened. I think the left side got damaged and the right brain took over more. He became way more creative. He was painting everywhere, all the time, all over the floor, his walls. He didn't see it as crazy either.
Right. That's the thing. It's all about perception again. When your brain is affected, it also affects your perception about things. And all these perceptions come from the different sides of your brain, the left and the right side, working, hand in hand together. There was also a savant that I heard about, that could read, left with the left
I heard about that guy.
Yeah, he could read both sides of the book at the same time.
He could read, at the same time.
So the left side with the left eye and the right side with the right eye, and he would understand it completely, and those are...
And he read it
quick. And his social skills weren't very good, and he wasn't able to like do simple things like get dressed. His father took care of him even as an adult. But he had this, skill that he can absorb, all kind of books. He's read books, and he can just tell you back, the book back to you frontwards and backwards. I mean, so, the brain is a powerful machine, but the thing is, we do need balance between these sides in order for us to have, sanity. And, sometimes when one side is too powerful than the other, then you miss out on something. And that's why the brain, designed it this way for both sides to be specialized, not just one or the other. And that's why if they ask you, are you left or right? No, you're not just left or right brain. You're both.
Right. That's more of a myth because you actually use both sides. You
Yeah,
don't walk
exactly.
on one side or the other, so you have to be, using both
Right.
sides of your brain. But like the savant you were talking about, we think he has an extraordinary ability, but at the same time, he actually has a disorder with his brain.
Exactly.
So it's
Right.
amazing that he
So,
can even do that in the first place.
yep. Well, see,
That's
that's
why you
why we should.
really have to appreciate every day and be grateful. You can't take anything for granted because anything can happen to anyone at any time.
Exactly. It's
So
very
appreciate,
true.
appreciate the moment. If your brain is working perfect, it's fine. You
Yeah,
can
that's
go
very
from
true.
there.
Exactly. Because just imagine in 1 minute of having brain damage, you just forget everything. Your identity. You could forget. Just like you said, Alzheimer's. You forget. Main memories. You forget people because the brain is getting
Right.
affected. So
And
you
memory's
really
a
need to
big part of our
appreciate
lives.
that. Yeah, exactly. So
Really,
it's
it's how
very
we know
important
anything.
for us.
It's because we have a memory.
Yeah. So it's very important for us not to take that, for granted, because there's people that they have amnesia even, and because they get brain damage and they can't remember anything, or they can't remember who they are, their name is, or who they're married to. I mean, you just have to really think about the things that could not worry about these things, but just be appreciative that you don't have those problems right now in your life.
That's very true. Take a look at your
Also,
amazing brain and all the things it does
yeah,
that we don't even
and
really
also,
know about.
yeah, I know, for instance, meditating and yoga and just taking breaks from stress, everyday stresses, is a great way of, enhancing your brain power so that you're not
Right.
feeling drained, because you are a electromagnetic, machine. So you have to give yourself breaks.
Right. You've got all kinds of outside sources coming at you all the time.
Yes, exactly. And they affect these connections also. Well, you also, there's also an organ in the brain called the pineal gland. And this is activated
Right.
when both hemispheres are working together, and they're both active and they're both high vibrations. Your pineal gland will become more active, and this is a
When they're balanced.
intuitive gland. This it gives you
It awakens the third
insight.
eye, basically.
Yeah, it gives you that insight when you feel like, wow, where did I get that information from, or how did I know that? Your pineal
The
gland
knowing
is what.
without knowing.
Yes, exactly.
Because we've all
Because
experienced that. I'm pretty sure most people, you just know something and you don't even know how you know it. Where did the information come from?
right, and it's just an internal guide. They've been trying to study this for years. It's even in ancient times they paid attention to this pineal gland because it has been, this main source of how we really understand, or make
Right.
any sense of being in this reality. So,
It's a main source of consciousness.
yes. And when your left and right brain are not working, in sync, and you feel stressed and overworked, your pineal gland is, it's just not, it's not going to get activated. It's going to be low, and it's not going to be receiving those unconscious messages from the universal energy that's around us. So you really want to pay attention to how you're feeling and your stress levels, because that will help you, be more in sync and more balanced. Also, another thing
that are working
about, go ahead.
inner workings between the hemispheres.
Yes. So your goal is not to be more left or right brain. Your goal is to be balanced. To have a balanced brain. Because your right brain also has, it tells you about facial awareness. So, when you see someone's face or you recognize somebody that you haven't seen for a long time, your brain is activating right then. So, you got to be grateful. Sometimes we don't think about the little things that our brain are doing, but those are the big things, that are really helping you even perceive what reality is.
Mhm.
So I just want to interrupt real quick. If there's anybody that wants to call in, we're down to our last 9 minutes of the show, and that number to call in is 909-265-9250. And we're here every Sunday, 9:30 to 10 Pacific Standard Time. This is our new season. We're so happy to be back and sharing information with everybody. We also wanted to talk about, new things that we have coming, which one is our new book called The Frequency Effect, Secrets to the Law of Attraction. And our book will be coming soon. If you guys want more information on the book, you can email us at frequencyeffect@gmail.com. And we also have a weekly inspirational email that goes out every week. So if you guys want, some tips here and there, join our mailing list. And again, that's frequencyeffect@gmail.com. And tomorrow we'll be sending out, advertisement and emails regarding our new ebook that will also be coming out, which is a chapter from our new book, Frequency Effect. So this one is called The Frequency Effect Method. And it's, like I said, it's a chapter, one of the chapters from our book. And we'll be giving out a sample for free. Then you can buy the full version for 99 cents, which is a pretty good deal. We're going to have a lot of good information in there. Yeah. So, again, if you want to...
Don't buy too much for that anymore.
If you want to check out our book, it's Miss Whizdom and Miss Masta Foxx. And, we jointly write our books. We're a mastermind team. We're also mastermind stimulators. We're mastermind coaches. And we also have services for mastermind building. If you guys are interested in the law of attraction, or you just want to, talk about where your mind is at right now. Get a better understanding about the law of attraction, or maybe a venture that you got going on in your life, and you want some advice. We have, sessions basically where you'll sit with me and Miss Whizdom online over the phone. We have different ways, but we sit down for 30 minutes. I mean, if it's something really deep, we even have hour sessions. So, it's just to really get your mind going, get that mastermind working. Because, like we said, you want to have your left and right brain balanced. So, when you're talking with other people that are on that same vibration that you are, other entrepreneurs, other masterminds, this will help you, your idea out there and get your idea enhanced.
Right, stimulate the idea.
Yeah, and get yourself more successful, because that's the key to this all, is to get your brain right so that you can have a successful, happy life. Yes, you got to get on that right frequency. And each of your, your brain. Go ahead.
Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say that your brain also has these frequencies. Yeah, but we'll talk more about that in our book. Right. So, got to be aware of that also. Left and right brain are always sending out different frequencies at the same time. So you got to make sure those frequencies don't clash.
Right. Because one's going to take over and can't exist at the same time in the same space.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't be
Right.
happy and sad. You're going to be one or the other.
Exactly. So everyone,
That's their crazy brain.
point, yeah. So you have to make sure your left and right brain are being exercised. Do different things. Pay attention to different things. You write something down. Yeah, learn new things. Be creative. All these different things will help your brain exercise. Will help you become more fit, in the different areas. And it's really important if you didn't know. Because most people, they really don't know. They think our brain is just one thing, and it is really a large working machine.
Right, it's like one organ, but several compartments to it.
Exactly. So the more we become aware and knowledgeable about our brains and about, what our mind is constantly feeding our brain and the frequencies that we're on and the vibrations that we're vibrating, once we become more aware of that, we'll be able to direct our energy and, more creatively and more where we have the control over it and not just on autopilot. You want to have control over your thoughts because your thoughts are not going to stop. They're constantly going. So
yeah, the brain's doing a lot. Even when you sleep, you're still not, you're still thinking.
Exactly. That's why you dream.
Down to a localized area. So
right.
Other parts aren't being disturbed. It's only using this one localized area to do what it needs to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why even when you're dreaming, your right brain is shooting out these images and, information, and you're trying to make sense out of things. So the left brain is working a little. So, it's a little bit, like you said, a little bit of electricity going through the brain at that moment because it shuts down,
filing away information.
It doesn't so that it doesn't disturb you while you sleep. And then, like you said, while you're sleeping, your brain, the most important thing that it learns throughout the day and stores it into your long-term memory and, gets rid of things that are just junk information and things that won't enhance your future. Because that's basically what the brain is all about. It wants you to have,
it processes everything you've gone throughout that day. That's why sometimes you can have weird dreams because it's processing everything together, filing it all away.
Exactly. So, everyone, we're getting towards the end of the show, so we just want you guys to remember to take care of your left and right brain. Do mental exercises, or go, sit by yourself and take a couple minutes and just think of positive thoughts and, visualize. Visualization is a great way, so just be more into you, and this will help you have a better life and a more fit mind. Okay,
we could never cover everything about the brain that quick.
Yeah. So we try to, crush in as much as we can in 30 minutes, but I think we hit the points, the key points. But more, if you need more information, like we soon, and Frequency Effect, and email us at frequencyeffect@gmail.com. We're here every Sunday, 9:30 to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you here next Sunday. Peace.
All right, we'll see you next Sunday.